Hello everybody, welcome back. Johnny D here, and today's video is a continuation of a three-part series. This is going to be part 2 on how to build a PC. Today's video is going to take you to the completion of the build and up to plugging in the monitor. And part 3 is going to be about installing Windows, downloading software, BIOS, and all the Windows setup that you need to know. So, without wasting too much time and too much of an intro, we're just going to hop right into it, and I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, so we have installed the motherboard, and our next step here is to make heads or tails of some of these wires over here. So before we go ahead and install the power supply, let's go ahead and hook up some of these cables. So let me bring the camera in closer and I'll show you what we need to do. Let's start with some of these bigger cables here. All right, so this is a USB cable for up here. So we are going to go ahead, your USB 3 cable, we're going to go ahead and feed that through just to get that out of the way. We'll go ahead and feed that one through. Next, we have USB and we have HD audio. So let's go ahead and feed the audio through first. So that's going to be in the bottom left of your computer. So there's a slot down here. We'll just find that slot. Go ahead and feed that through. So that's done. And what we have left here is your USB. That's going to be in about the middle of the board. So let's find the middle slot here. Be right here. We'll go ahead and feed that through. All right. So what do we got left here? Let's see here. So here we have your power switch. And then we have power LED. So that's your lights up here. Then we have power LEDs, and then your HD LEDs. So we're going to take these, and they're going to be in the bottom right of your motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and feed those through to the bottom right. Get that all out of the way. Now, what do we got left here? So if you notice, we have a mass of wires here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 fans that in the Montech case should all come already daisy chained together. So now we have to hook this white one up to the motherboard. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the bottom of the motherboard. So let's go ahead and run that through the middle. Just to get that out of the way. And then what we have left here is a SATA connection. So that's going to need power. And this is ARGB input. So if you want to control the ARGB on your fans, you need to hook this up to the motherboard. So let's go ahead and run that through up top here. Okay. And then we'll come back to this one. We'll save that one for last. Oh. If we look here, this is what we have. So the first one we went through is the USB 3. So on this motherboard, it goes here. If you notice, there's a notch. So you just line that notch up with this notch and plug it in. So let me go ahead and do that. That's the first one. Then I believe we ran the HD audio through, and if you notice that it only goes in one way, it has a little blank spot here. HD audio is going to be down here on your left. So that's going to go in over there. So HD audio. Now this is a fan. So we're going to definitely want to hook up that fan. And I believe on this motherboard, we have a fan hub right here. So you notice this is 3 pins. This fan is 4 pins. It's okay as long as that clip goes over it. So let's go ahead and that's your fan. This is your USB hub. You notice you have one blank spot there. It only goes in one way also. It's going to be one of these two. Either one, doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and hook that up. That's hooked up. You have the ARGB. Notice these are 3 pins. This is the input. So let's go ahead and put that up here. Now, mind you, your motherboards may differ depending on your brand. But that's all there is to it. Now, what do we got left here? We have your power switch. Let's start with the power switch. So on this, I would refer to your motherboard manual because it will tell you exactly where they go. You find it on the header here in the directions. It's going to show you where everything hooks up. All right, so always refer to that because it could vary a little bit from motherboard to motherboard. Usually doesn't. So let's start off here. So the power switch. So usually on the power switch, it's the 3rd pin in from the left. So let's go ahead and put that on. Doesn't matter if it's up or down. Doesn't matter. Now, the LEDs is just basically you want to get them power. So we could go ahead and put that on the 2nd switch from the left. And then we got 2 switches left. We could put one on the 1st set of pins, top or bottom. And then whatever's left open on the 1st pin, bottom or top, we can put the other one in as well. And there you have it. So all our panels are now connected in the front. So what we can do is we can pull them back tight so they look a little neater. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll just pull them in a little neater here. Pull them in a little neater, a little neater, a little neater. Not too tight. Let's see how they look. Yeah, so that can be pulled in a little tighter as well. All right. There you have it. So just remember in the back, we got 2 more wires to hook up. But before we do that, let's go ahead and install the power supply. Here we have a 650 watt power supply. This power supply is semi-modular. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. This is by power spec. Now, remember I said you only need 550 watts. So any decent 550 watt power supply will do as long as it's on the PSU tier list and won't start a fire and burn down your house. So don't cheap out on the power supply. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we don't need that. I'll go ahead and take this out here. We got our bag of cables. So let's go ahead and go through that. All right, so what semi-modular means, if you look at the back, that you have some cords already attached that can't be unattached, and then you have a place to plug in cords as you need them. So let's go over the cords. This is your 24 pin. This gives power to your motherboard. This is 2 4 pins or an 8 pin that gives power to your CPU. We definitely need those. We're also going to need the power cord, so we'll take that out. Let's see what else we got in here. So we're going to need SATA power. Remember, we saw a SATA connection for the ARGB hub. So we are going to need a cable that looks like that. So we'll take that out. We're also going to need power for our GPU. So we're going to need either one 8-pin, two 8-pins, or a combination of whatever. But I believe for the RX 6650 XT, it is one 8-pin. So we'll go ahead and pull out that. You don't need these right now, so we'll just go ahead and save them. You never know, when you upgrade, you may need those cables. So go ahead and plug in some of these cables. All right, so the PCIe, which is going to be your graphics card, your two 8-pins, I'm going to go ahead and plug that in right here. And then for your SATA cable, we're going to go ahead and plug that in where it says SATA. And there you have it. Now that is all the cables we need for this build. So now the next step is to put it in the case. So also it's going to come with 4 screws. So you can attach it. Notice I got them here, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out. But they should come in a little bag inside the box. Let's take a look at the back of this case. So we want to install this, the power switch going out the back, and we want to install the fan facing down. Okay? So let's make sure you can see this. All right. Basically just gonna go ahead, fit in just like that. And then all you have to do get some of this stuff out of the way is line up the holes and tighten them down. So go ahead and bring them out front. First screw, and we see a hole up here. Second screw. Third screw. And fourth screw. And we can go ahead and make sure these are pretty tight. I'm not going to break anything here. All right, and there you have it. Your power cord also, just to show you how you set it up here. Does go on like that. So there's your power cord. So we've gone ahead and hooked up all these wires with the exception of the SATA one. And this is what gives power to the ARGB, which makes your lights go on. So basically, we just need to pick one of these connections. And let's make sure I put it in the right way. And that's all there is to it. And that's done. So we can go ahead and take that, tuck that out of the way. We don't need that. Now, this is for your CPU power. So we'll go ahead and run this up here. Go ahead and stick that through. All right. This right here to your motherboard. So we'll go ahead and stick that through. And of course, this is going to be your power supply for your GPU, your graphics card. So we'll go ahead and run that up and under. So We have our 24 pin. Notice that there's a clip here, and it's going to clip there. So we just simply hopefully I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Make sure that they're clipped on, and we look good. All right, might have to give it a little force. Okay, so that's one. This is for the graphics card later. This is for your CPU. So let's get some of these wires out of the way here. And I always have trouble with this one. I'm going to have to lay this down to do this one. There's your power supply for your CPU, your 24 pin. And we'll need this later when we put the graphics card, which is next. So let's do a recap. We got all our wires hooked up. We got our front panel hooked up. That's our on or off or reset. It's all hooked up. USB's hooked up. We have the fans hooked up. We have the audio hooked up. We have the power supply for the CPU hooked up. We have the power supply for the motherboard hooked up. We have our USB 3 hooked up. Our USB 2 hooked up. And we have our ARGB input hooked up as well. So that is it. So the only thing left to do before we move on to the graphics card is possibly maybe neaten that up a little bit. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go crazy over it, but you could neaten this up a little bit with some cable ties if you wanted to. But, maybe one cable tie there to hold that one down. I don't know. But I'm good with it like that. So, there we have it. Next step. Final step here, guys. The graphics card. So let's take a look at this bad boy here. Let's see, I don't remember how to open it. There we go. So here we have the RX 6650 XT Steel Legend ASRock Edition. All right. Set out of the way for now. All right, so here she is. And it's a pretty nice card. It actually matches the case quite well. It's got some RGB fans on it. I believe this lights up a little bit as well. So basically what we want to do is take this and insert it into this top PCI. So what we want to do here is take the graphics card. We want to line it up a little bit here. All right. So it looks like it's a 2-slot card, and it looks like we need to take out top 2 slots. Now you see they're already taken out on this board, but I recommend you do this before you put the motherboard in, because these are cheap bendies, right? So you got to bend them and break them. And they're awfully close to the motherboard, and you could damage your motherboard. So be very, very careful. So you want to bend and break the top 2. All right. That said, 2 screws here already, but they come in the box that I told you about, in that bag of screws. So make sure you take 2 screws out of that box. So we're going to go ahead and take these screws out. All right. So actually, that's probably going to be in the way a little bit. Let's push that out a little bit. All right. So we I'm going to put the graphics card in this way, okay? This goes in that top slot there. So we want to line up this top slot. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. So you want to make sure that this clip is pushed back. See? Push back. You want to line this break up with that break there. And once you get it lined up, you want to push it and you'll hear a click. There. The graphics card is now in. Now what we want to do here is we want to close this bridge. And we want to put those screws in so it stays tight. Let's go ahead and do that. That's 2. Go ahead and tighten that up. He's in there tight. Now all we have to do is to hook up this one 8-pin. I think you can see. And we're going to have to turn this over this way. Make sure these are together correctly. And clip that in just like this. And there you have it. We have completed the build process. Now, we have to turn it on and make sure everything works. So, let me go ahead and get a monitor and show you how to hook up the monitor, and we go ahead and turn that on. Alrighty. Do not want to hook the monitor in up here. So that is a no right off the bat. You have a graphics card. You want to hook the monitor in to the graphics card. So let's go ahead and hook that into the graphics card. Make sure we're all lined up there. Right there. So that's where your monitor goes. No. Yes. Okay. No. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Here's your keyboard and mouse up top. So I'd go ahead and hook that in up there. And we are in. All right. Now, make sure you turn on your power supply because it's going to come off. Make sure you plug in your power supply. Okay. Make sure your monitor is on. Let's go ahead and make sure it is on. Monitor is on. Do we have lights? She is getting power. So if we did this right, we should get power. Everything should be lighting up. And we should be entering into our BIOS shortly. Sometimes it takes a minute. It's going to cycle through the memory. And we have our eyes rock. That's a good thing. And it brings us right to our BIOS. We have done everything right so far. All right, guys, let's wrap this video up. So this is the end of part 2. So we've taken you through a complete build on how to build a computer. Part 3 will be coming out in about a week or so. That's going to take you through the rest of it, from BIOS setup, installing Windows, ARGB, and all that wonderful stuff. But a quick tip here. If you still need more help on all those cables in the back of the computer, I have a full 10-minute video just on how to hook up all those cables on this specific case. So I will link that down in the description for you. And with that said, if you like what I'm doing, hit that thumbs up. If you really like what I'm doing, you definitely should subscribe so you get notified when I create new content. And with that said, you'll have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye now.